These sanctions are unprecedented in their extent and in their depth. In their extent because they are applied by a group of countries representing close to 2/3 of world GDP. And in their extent because they cover a wide range of sectors. The financial sector, for example, the assets of the Russian central bank have been frozen abroad. Many commercial sectors, trade flows are impacted by these sanctions, which mean that the real objective is to crush the Russian economy by isolating the Russian economy from financial trade flows of many different kinds. It's very difficult, of course, to forecast what could be the impact of these sanctions, because that depends on how long they will be maintained and what will be their extent. We see that almost every day Western countries are thinking about implementing new sanctions, depending on how the situation is evolving in Ukraine. But broadly speaking, we have some studies forecast on that, ranging from 5% GDP loss yearly for the Russian economy up to 20% for some studies. So we can expect that the Russian economy will really suffer from these implemented sanctions. Strangely enough, we've been observing that the ruble has regained almost all the value lost against the dollar since the beginning of the adoption of these sanctions. I think that the explanation to this phenomenon is that Russia is still able to export its major source of export revenues, energy resources, and it exports these resources at much higher prices compared to what was the situation prior to the crisis. And so it fuels a kind of economic dynamism in the Russian economy, but I don't think that this phenomenon will last. So at one point, the Russian economy will start to really feel the negative impact of these sanctions. One obvious limit of this sanction scheme is that it hurts countries adopting the sanctions. And so some of these countries, some of these actors involved in applying these sanctions, mostly firms, are reluctant at some point to fully adopt and implement these sanctions. It's obviously the case for many Western firms having not only their selling capacities, but their producing capacities in Russia. And for these companies, it is extremely costly and painful to stop their activities. Another obvious domain in which we see this reluctance from countries adopting this sanction is in the energy domain, because that was quite easy for the US government to apply these sanctions, because basically they don't import much of energy resources from Russia. They are quite independent from this perspective. The European situation is, of course, completely different. They depend from Russian energy imports up to 40% regarding gas, 20 to 25% for oil. And so it's extremely difficult for the European Union, more precisely for some specific member states, because Spain is almost no dependent from this point of view, and some other countries, like Baltic countries, are close to 100% dependent from Russian gas imports. So the Repower EU strategy, which is supposed to decrease this level of dependency on gas import by 2/3 by the end of 2022, will be extremely challenging and difficult to implement on such a short period of time.